the different layers, so you can see the fibers, right, coming down like this. So this is external abdominal oblique, right? Fibers going down like this, and then when you peel that back, then you can see the internal abdominal oblique, and the fibers are going the opposite direction. Okay, so external goes this way, internal goes this way, and you can actually see that. You can see the fibers. Okay, and then once you get past the internal abdominal oblique, did you have it lifted? Did we not? Oh, we went the other way. Okay, good. So right here, we get past the internal abdominal oblique. Then the last layer, the third layer right there, the deepest one, is your transversus abdominis. Okay, so with the transversus, the fibers are not exactly the same as the external oblique. They don't go quite as far down, but they are just like a tiny bit slanted. Ideally, they would go perfectly transverse like this, but a lot of times when you see them, they actually go just a tiny bit down like this. Okay? So remember, the idea was the external oblique comes down like this, the internal oblique is like this, it's opposite, and then the transversus is supposed to be transverse like this, but realistically, it's a tiny bit slanted like that. Okay, so that's body wall there. Then you also have your rectus abdominis. Right, so when you look for your rectus abdominis, you have to get through the sheath. So there was this rectus sheath that was covering, like right here. And once you get past that, then the rectus, the fibers are going straight up and down. So straight up and down like that. Right? So that's rectus abdominis, right on the middle. For the back muscles, down here. So we're going to have 3 blocks of muscle. Okay, so if we start from the outside, we open up this thoracodorsal fascia. Right? So we have 2 layers of thoracodorsal fascia. When we open up and reflect the superficial layer, then we haven't opened up the deep layer yet. You can see your iliocostalis right here. So this is iliocostalis. And then when we get through the deeper layer, we're going to see a huge block of muscle right here. All of this right here. So this whole thing right there, that's longissimus. And then when you go closest to the spine, all the way down here, close to the spine, this is spinalis right there. Okay, so there's spinalis. So iliocostalis, longissimus, spinalis. All right? Now for the legs, the idea here, okay, is you're going to see some gluteals, and your cat's pretty muscular, so it has a little bit of gluteals visible right here, right? And the key concept is the gluteals are actually coming off of the ilium, so you can feel the edge, the blade of the ilium right here, and the gluteals are coming off of the lateral surface of the ilium. So these are gluteals that you see right there. You can also see tensor fascia lata, and tensor fascia lata always has this little like a check mark look to it, right? So it goes down and up like a check. So that's tensor fascia lata.
Okay.
Now, superficial to that, we're actually seeing your sartorius right here. Okay, so here's the sartorius right here. Right? And we've cut through it so we can see deeper, but there's sartorius coming off of the crest of the ilium right here. Right? So it's coming off the crest of the ilium right there, and it goes all the way down to the medial surface of the tibia right there. So that's sartorius. On the human, it'll be a lot thinner, right? And then over here, we can see the gracilis right here. And then gracilis, again, is a lot thicker on the cat than it is on the human, right? So there's sartorius here, and there's gracilis right there. Right? Sartorius, gracilis. Right? If we reflect those muscles, so we reflect the sartorius, so it's out of the way, and we reflect the gracilis, so it's out of the way, then what we're going to see is underneath the tensor fascia lata and the sartorius, deep to them, you're going to see the quadriceps. So this big muscle on the side, right here, this is the vastus lateralis. So right here, this whole thing, that's vastus lateralis. Big muscle, vastus lateralis. And then in the middle, there's the straight muscle. There's the rectus femoris right there. Yeah? And then on the medial side, then this is the vastus medialis right there. If you push the rectus femoris out of the way, then underneath it, right on top of the bone, then that's the vastus intermedius. So all the way down, right on top of the bone, that's vastus intermedius right there. Okay? Now, if we keep going to the medial side, right here, then what you'll notice is this big triangle, we did not separate this out on our cats. So instead of doing adductor magnus, brevis, and longus, don't worry about that. And all you have to do is tell me that this whole block right there is adductor. So this is all adductor right there. Now, if we keep going, then you'll notice there's another huge piece of muscle right next to the adductor, right? And this is the semimembranosus right here. So adductor and semimembranosus are next to each other. So here's adductor, semimembranosus. If we keep going around the leg, right, and this one got kind of twisted. There. If we go around the leg, now you can see this is the semitendinosus right here. Okay, so we had it's hard to there. Semimembranosus, the thick one right here. Semitendinosus is a little bit of a thinner one right here. Semitendon, a little bit thinner right there. Okay, semitendinosus. Now we're going to go all the way around to the other side. And we go all the way around to the other side, and we can actually still see, okay, what you're going to see is those exact same muscles that we just saw, okay? We start with the vastus lateralis right here, big muscle, vastus lateralis, part of the quadriceps, and actually right next to it, this is adductor. It's hard to tell, but this is actually the adductor muscle. So let me show you something. I'm going to put my finger on it, and I'm going to roll the leg over, and I'm just going to push with my finger and watch the adductor. I don't know if you can see that I'm pushing up on it. Mm-hmm. See that? Mm-hmm. So that's the adductor muscle there, and I'm just going to roll the leg back over and look at what muscle I was pushing up on right here. That's the adductor. So it's vastus lateralis, then the adductor, then this is the semimembranosus right there, and again, semitendinosus. So same order, okay? And then what we have opened up here, this is the biceps femoris. So those three muscles, biceps femoris, semitendinosus, semimembranosus, they make your hamstrings. So those are your hamstrings. Those are the ones that flex at the knee, like this. And you can tell that they're all together right here, because if you follow them all the way back, and you follow every single one of them, they all originate from the same spot, right there. This is that ischial tuberosity right there. So biceps femoris, semitendinosus, and semimembranosus, they're all coming from the one spot right there. So that's the origin of all three of them. So this is that idea where we're talking about if you know where the muscle is originating, then you know what its action is and you know what its innervation is. So the muscles that come off of the ischium right here, they're all going to be flexors at the knee, and they're all going to be innervated by the tibial component of the sciatic. All three, biceps femoris, semitendinosus, semimembranosus. The other thing we were talking about is for the crest of the ilium, right here, the muscles that we associate with the crest of the ilium, those are going to be the quadriceps and the sartorius. Okay, so those come right from here, from the crest of the ilium right here. Sartorius and all those quadriceps. So because they all come from that same place, these are all going to be innervated by the femoral nerve. Every single one, innervated by femoral nerve. If we look down here, we go all the way back to the adductors. The adductors, all of the adductors, including the gracilis, because the gracilis is an adductor muscle also, every single one is originating from the pubic bone right here. All originating from the pubic bone, right in the middle. So that means that every single one of them is going to be an adductor muscle, including gracilis, and all of them are innervated by the obturator nerve. Okay? And then the last one up here is we go back to the gluteals, which are actually kind of decent on your cat. They're coming from the lateral surface of the ilium. So these are all innervated by the gluteal nerve. Okay? So even if you don't know the name, gluteal nerve innervation. Even if you don't know the name, femoral nerve. Even if you don't know the name, tibial component of sciatic. Even if you don't know the name, obturator nerve. That's the pattern, that's the system. And we can apply that to the human model also. Okay? Now we go down here and the system is way more straightforward because there are only two nerves to worry about when you go past the knee. If you're on the shin or the lateral aspect here, that's peroneal nerve. If you're on the calf back here, right, then this is all tibial nerve. That's it, that's how it works. So all of the extensors right here, that's all peroneal nerve. All of the flexors, right, like the calf muscle like that, these are all going to be tibial nerve. So then if we're identifying them, then the muscles that are here innervated by peroneal nerve, you can see the separation right here. Right, see the separation right there? So this first muscle, this is the tibialis anterior, right there. And then as we move laterally around, then you get to the next muscle. This is the long digital extensor digitorum longus, long digital extensor. And this is where we did that thing where we kind of pull on the long digital extensor, and you see the digits extending, right? So that's long digital extensor, peroneal nerve. And then the 3 peroneals right here, there's the peroneus longus, the peroneus tertius has that little tiny thin tendon, and then the big fat muscle right there, that's peroneus brevis, okay? All 3 of those also innervated by peroneal nerve. And then we get here, this is the gastrocnemius, this is the lateral head of the gastrocnemius, and then over here on the inside is the medial head of gastrocnemius. So you get past your hamstrings, and there's the medial head of gastrocnemius right there, right there. Now when we look, just underneath, just deep to the lateral head of gastrocnemius, there's another muscle here, and this is the soleus. So that's the soleus muscle right there. So lateral head of gastrocnemius, and then soleus is underneath it. Okay? Now there is another muscle here that is like more of a cat muscle than a human muscle, but you can see it really clearly. So instead of the soleus, under the lateral head of gastrocnemius, if we go under the medial head of the gastrocnemius, there's another muscle right here, and that's not soleus. This is the superficial digital flexor. So this one flexes the toes. Okay? And all of those, gastrocnemius, soleus, superficial digital flexor, innervated by the tibial nerve. Okay? So it's very straightforward once you get past the knee. Yeah? All right. You want to stop? You can. Otherwise, it's just going to be one crazy long thing.
Oh,
you don't want to stop and then do this?
No, go ahead. This is all for my review.
I know, but you don't want to break it up?